Hi, y'all out there. This is Amy. I hope you're having a good day wherever you are. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about migraine trigger foods today and a little bit on how to get into eliminating the foods that may be triggering you and your migraines and or just chronic headaches, maybe even vestibular migraines. I don't know a whole lot about vestibular migraines. I'm more of a classic migraine sufferer myself, but I also have dealt with chronic daily headaches, sometimes with just no reprieve for, weeks. And it's brutal. And I've been working on figuring this shit out and seeing what I can do that's in my own power and control to improve my life. And I've had some success. It's not perfection, but I'm definitely much improved to where I was even a few months ago. And I'll get into why and how. But basically, first off, I'm going to go over just a full list of trigger foods. So I'm apologizing in advance because this is going to be a bummer. A lot of these foods are some of people's absolute favorite foods, and you just think, oh my God, how can I ever give that up? That is just too much to ask. But if you're at a place in your life where you are, taking Motrin or Tylenol all the time, taking other medications, migraine medications, other prescriptions, what have you, and you're just living in too much pain, too much of the time, and you figure, what have you got to lose? To at least try something different. And from my experience, diet has a huge role in triggering migraines and other types of headaches. So, okay, chocolate. Gots to go. Chocolate for me is an absolute guaranteed full-blown migraine, possibly even with the light sensitivity, vomiting, losing a whole day or even two in bed, non-functional. That includes also anything with cocoa in it. So, there you go. That's a bummer. Cheese, next on the list. Cheese. These top three that I'm mentioning are just the hardest to handle, given up, and also for me the biggest triggers. So cheese. Now, the more aged it is, the more sharp the cheddar is, for example, the more of a problem it's going to be. The only exceptions, like Parmesan, for example, sharp cheddar, no good. They're just going to be brutal. And these are the most common triggers for migraine and tension headache sufferers. So there you have it. But there are some exceptions or possible exceptions, and it's going to be, figuring out what works for you and what doesn't. But the exceptions that are noted are cottage cheese, possibly ricotta cheese, farmer's cheese, and maybe even American cheese, but I think that's really iffy. Okay, so there's what you have on cheese. Now, yeast, and what I mean by that is brewer's yeast, any autolyzed yeast, if you read labels, also the yeast that's in freshly risen baked goods, like that's 24 hours or under, just baked. They say to avoid that. Now, if you bake bread, you really like baking bread, just wait more than 24 hours before you eat it. I don't know exactly what that's all about, but that's what I have to say about yeast. Now that sort of leads me into protein concentrates. I mentioned autolyzed yeast and that type of thing, but from my experience, all protein powders, protein concentrates are a problem. I used to be vegan. I was vegan for a couple of years, and I had a vegan protein and greens drink that I used every day, not knowing at the time that it was a huge problem. It had pea protein, and who would think, that's going to be a problem, but it was a problem. I cannot touch that stuff with a 10-foot pole now. And it doesn't matter if it's soy protein concentrate, whey protein concentrate, the pea protein, sacha inchi powder. I don't even care. If it's a protein powder, I would say avoid it, at least for a while, and figure out, maybe try introducing something later on if you really are intent on having it. Now that protein concentrate is going to also be in a lot of protein bars, granola type bars, so you really got to be a label reader. Okay, MSG, big baddie. And I hate that this is such a potent migraine trigger, and it's probably one of the top 3 potent migraine triggers. And for me, it's a sure disaster. Now, MSG, one of the reasons I hate the whole topic so much is it is so damn tricky. You'll even see labels no MSG added. That doesn't mean there's no MSG. There's MSG that arises naturally in the creation of certain products. So now, and it can go under different names too. I took notes here somewhere about, okay, a website that you can see to learn more about the whole hidden MSG thing, because it's in so many sauces, gravies, salad dressings, prepared foods, frozen foods, restaurants. It's just everywhere. There's a really good website you can go. It's called truthinlabeling.org/hidden sources. That's truthinlabeling.org. That'll go into more detail about all the ways that MSG can be marked differently. It can go by different names, so it's really tricky. For example, I used to love barbecued chips. Who would think it's just potatoes and some flavoring, right? No, it's MSG. Almost all flavored chips have MSG. I used to like these packets of gravy mix. I know they're kind of ghetto, but whatever. I loved them, and they're full of MSG, and that sucks. Also, I used to love Chick-fil-A, and they use MSG in pretty much all their food. So, bummer. Okay, so now processed and canned meats and fish. And what I mean by that, for example, is hot dogs, lunch meats, spam. I mean, who's got time for that? But even canned tuna. It's not written on the labels, but there's something going on in there. It's either sulfites or nitrites or nitrates. Well, with the processed meats, it's always nitrites and nitrates. And that also includes bacon and ham. Basically, any kind of processed meats, you gotta be super duper careful. I can't even eat canned tuna or canned chicken. It's got stuff in there that is a huge trigger. Next is nuts. All nuts, including peanuts, are a problem. There's just no way around it, and that's the long and short of it. And I won't touch them. And I read labels. A lot of things will have nuts in them, and you don't know. You got to be a label reader. Seeds seem to be okay. I've not messed around with that too much, but I do have a sunflower butter. It's called sun butter because I really missed peanut butter, and it's decent. It's pretty decent, and it doesn't seem to bother me. So that seems to be okay. Sunflower seeds, flax seeds. I can't think of other seeds, but they seem to be okay. Alcohol is a problem, huge problem. Especially red wine, champagne, any dark and heavy type of alcohol containing drinks are a problem. Now, if you can't give it up, you won't give it up. They say that vodka is probably the best tolerated of all the types of alcohol. I happen to be a sober person. I've been sober for 6 years, so I haven't really experienced that so much as a trigger at all. So, vinegar. Now, red wine vinegar, balsamic vinegar, probably the worst offenders. If you really need to make something with a little bit of vinegar, they say white distilled vinegar, just super duper plain, and it's really cheap too. Seems to be okay, but I would say really keep it limited. Now, there are a lot of condiments that are made with verboten ingredients as well. Vinegar is in most prepared mustards, ketchup, even mayonnaise. And mayonnaise has the added problem of being made with egg whites, or is it egg yolks? Anyway, I'll get to that later. Eggs can be a problem. Okay, now on the whole condiments topic, I don't really use them anymore because too many prepared things just contain tricky ingredients that I don't want to tinker with, because if I'm having good days, a few good days in a row right now where I'm pretty much pain-free, that is miraculous, and I don't want to mess with it. So I stay away from, I have to cook all my own food. This is pretty shocking, but a lot of fruits are a problem. Citrus being probably the biggest problematic fruit, and that's all citrus, whether that's lime, lemon, orange, clementines, mandarins, you got it. And pineapples as well are a problem. It probably has to do with the acidity, so the citric acid maybe, I'm not real sure. Bananas, shockingly enough, can be a problem for most migraine sufferers. I'm just going to go through the list here real quick. Raisins, raspberries, red plums, papayas, passion fruit, figs, dates, prunes, peaches, grapes, and avocados. Some people can tolerate coconut, I cannot. So that's out of the question. But, you know, on the positive side, there are lots of other fruit. That list was long, I know, but there are lots of other fruits that you still can eat. So I'm going to turn you on to a website that you can go to that's going to really give you this whole list, because I know you can't remember everything that I'm going to spout out here. And you probably don't want to listen to the video many times. Now on to vegetables. There aren't as many scary veggies on here, so that's good. Onions are a big problem. I can't have them. The exception to that would be like green onions, scallions, shallots. There you have it. Garlic seems to be okay. Other vegetable triggers can be sauerkraut because of the fermentation. It produces, I guess, histamine. Peas and pea pods. Some lists won't include peas. I include it because it's a problem for me and for a lot of others. Now, a number of beans are a problem, including Italian beans, lima beans, fava beans, navy beans, and lentils. Bummer on the lentils. I make a mean lentil soup. The beans that are okay are red beans, pinto beans, black beans, and some others that I can't think of. Pickles and coleslaw are a problem, also because of histamine. Probably something else in the coleslaw as far as, you know, ingredients that are in sauces, like already prepared coleslaws. If you're going to make it yourself from scratch, you could probably figure that out. Okay, all artificial sweeteners, all of them, but especially aspartame, it is just awful. I mean, they're cancer causing anyway, so there's that. But saccharin and NutraSweet, which is aspartame, are out of the question. You got to read labels because aspartame might go under different names, such as NutraSweet, but there are other names that I'm not real sure of. So what are okay are the natural sweeteners. If you want to do sugar, you want to do real maple syrup, stevia, erythritol, molasses, you know, brown sugar, they're fine. Soy products. Now this is especially if they are cultured or fermented. On the cultured end, that would be miso, so miso soup. Fermented soy would be tempeh. I think that tofu seems to be okay, but you know, you're going to have to find out for yourself. Now, you know, I mentioned protein concentrates earlier, protein powder. Soy protein is no-go for me. Now, soy sauce, the stuff is just loaded with MSG. That goes for teriyaki sauce. Any kind of soy sauce, teriyaki sauce, even the Bragg's liquid aminos, which tastes like soy sauce pretty much. It's pretty good. It says no MSG or no added MSG, but it has something akin to that, and pretty much all soy sauces have MSG. I really miss soy sauce. I really like to cook Asian type dishes, but I just can't do it. So, and I haven't found a substitute. I have some other coconut aminos, but I haven't tried them yet because I'm really wary of it. I don't think it's probably worth trying. So, and also fish sauce. So a lot of Asian dishes are cooked with fish sauce, or you might cook with fish sauce. I've cooked some things with fish sauce. No good. Plain tofu, again, is okay. Plain soy milk, or vanilla soy milk, whatever kind of soy milk seems to be okay. Also, soy flour is probably less risky. Now I talked about cheese, but dairy. Now, fresh dairy, as in fresh milk, the fresher the better, they say. Fresh milk, cream, that seems to be okay. Creme fraiche, which it tastes similar to sour cream but a little bit milder, is fine for me, and it's a really delicious. You can use it, you can sweeten it up, mix it with fruits, or use it kind of in lieu of soy sauce, so it's nice. You can make different sauces with it. I love creme fraiche. Sour cream and buttermilk are also no bueno, as well as yogurt and kefir. Now, I think that also goes, unfortunately, for the different soy yogurts. They also have coconut-based yogurts. They trigger me too, so I just don't touch them. Now, grains are, there's some question about grains, but the more natural and unprocessed it is, the better. Bleached flour can be a problem. Modified flour, I don't even know what the heck that is, can be a problem. Gluten can be a problem for a lot of people. Barley malt can definitely be an issue. I personally completely gave up all wheat and gluten products, and that seems to have been really beneficial for me. So that's, I would say, something to consider. Now, as far as substitute flours, if you don't want to use wheat flour at all, some people can do coconut flour. I won't do it because of cocaine. Cocaine's a problem for everybody, but coconut flour, I won't do it. And also almond flour, obviously, I won't do because it's a nut. Now, fats and oils. You would think oils should be fine, but not necessarily. I would say the safest oils are olive oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil. I would say no to soybean oil, any type of traditional margarine. It's hydrogenated, and the way they process it is a problem. Now, sort of in this category would be prepared, store-bought, bottled salad dressings, gravies, relish. I would just read the hell out of the labels. Barbecue sauce, even, maybe, I'm not real sure. You just got to be super careful. And again, back to that list to find out the hidden names for MSG. That's a really good source to look at. Back to vegetables. Corn is on a lot of lists listed as okay. I personally can't have corn. Also, there's question about potatoes and mushrooms and tomatoes. Bummer. So you have to see how that goes for you. Red beets, especially pickled or already prepared, can be a problem. Eggplant, olives, except for olive oil. Olive oil is okay. Pumpkin can be a problem. Spinach and sweet potato. I eat sweet potato. It doesn't seem to bother me, but you'll have to find out yourself. Now, I said I'd mention or talk about eggs. Egg whites seem to trigger some people, and I've completely given them up at this point for a few weeks. So, and I seem to be doing better, but I've given up a lot of things over the last few weeks and months. So it's kind of hard for me to give an opinion on that, but you might want to try a full elimination diet, and then, they say to do a full elimination diet for 3 to 4 months, really, really strictly, and then add in one item at a time, but you got to give it like that one item, and then give it 3, even 4 days before you add in any other item. because some people can have really delayed reaction to foods. So, I mean, usually for me, I can tell within 24 hours if something's triggered me, but I would say if you're really starting out with this, better safe than sorry, right? Now, natural flavors, I've found out anything listed as natural flavoring, natural meat flavoring, natural whatever flavoring is a problem, usually because they can contain MSG. Artificial flavors of any type can be a problem, but use your discretion. I talked about yeast. Okay, well, I think I've gone over pretty much everything that's on this horrifically long list. But as I said, I'd give you where I got all this information. Now, my first resource in food triggers was this here beautiful book, Heal Your Headache, the 1-2-3 program by Dr. David Buchholz. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. This is an absolutely fantastic resource. He goes over the common food triggers. He also talks about medications, whether they be over-the-counter or prescription. I think he talks a little bit about, things like artificial fragrances, changes in the weather, figuring out your own personal plan. This has been solid gold for me because it got me started on figuring out my food triggers. And unfortunately, I have an ultra sensitive brain. Pretty much every flippin' thing that I mentioned probably triggers me. So I have really changed my diet. I'll get really into that in another video, but this kind of led me onto a keto diet, which has been fantastic for me. I lost 20 pounds of that, quarantine weight, and feel fantastic and have gotten in the best shape that I've been in since I can remember, and I'm 51. So that's been really, really helpful for me. I do all my own cooking. I really don't eat out. If I do, I'm going to have to tell them, can I have a meat patty and some whatever vegetables, and that's kind of it. It's pretty lame, but it's worth it. Because if I can have 2, 3, 4 days at a time where I'm pretty much, if not completely pain-free, if my head is on a level 1 to 2 out of a 1 to 10 scale, I consider that really, really successful. It's been brutal. But another resource here is an online site called Migraine.com. If you type in Migraine Elimination Diet, you will find on Migraine.com this beautiful 4-page list that goes over all of these foods. Now, I will say that some of the foods that are listed as good foods to eat have been a problem for me. Those in particular are coconut, corn, and eggs. So there you have it. Anyway, this has been an awfully long video. I hope you've stuck with it. I hope you've found something useful or beneficial for you or your loved one who may be suffering. And in all sincerity, I wish you the absolute best in your journey to healing, recovery, and more pain-free days. Yay! Thank you. I'll see you again. I'm going to be putting up more videos also on migraine and headache topics, maybe some other topics, a lot of health-related things. That's my focus. So again, I thank you. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I wish you all the best.